What's going on, folks? Once again, I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits, otherwise known as your friendly neighborhood basement dweller. Don't worry, ma'am. I am from the internet. And being from the internet, I want to talk a little bit about something I'm seeing. So there's definitely people who predominantly live online and have been doing it for a long time. I remember when chat room and email addiction was a big thing, but these days it seems like everybody's addicted to all kinds of different things, and these regular normal people are finally figuring out what it's like to be addicted to social media, to be addicted to digital communication. Now, I'm particularly one thing that kind of grinds my gears is the way that these normies look at this digital communication. They act as if they're enslaved by it. They spend all their time on it. They find new apps, new crazy things in order to transmit information, to be popular, to communicate with people. And then at the end of it, they act like they're being enslaved by it. And perhaps they are to a point, but we seem to be in an age that everybody's talking about rights and about trauma and about how they're hurt, but no one's really talking about responsibility. If you think social media is bad, then stop frickin' using it, Nancy. So I don't particularly like the way that this article's been worded. Your attention didn't collapse. It was stolen. It wasn't stolen, folks. You gave it away to free apps that collect your information so you can communicate with your friends and absorb media. Social media and many other factors in modern life are destroying our ability to concentrate, and we need to reclaim our minds while we still can. And I completely agree with this. I've noticed recently that it's harder for me to sit down and read a good comic these days compared to what it used to be before. And as I look back, I realize the more books I read was basically I was reading these books out of extreme boredom because there was nothing else to do. I mean, I'm sure many of us took up spares in high school, and that's where I did most of my reading. If I didn't have these spares in high school, I probably would have only read about half the books. These days, everyone just keeps jumping on different things like TikTok and Snapchat and Reddit and all of these things. And while these things are good for holding your information, for holding your attention and giving you information, some of this information is good, some of this information is bad. We have to make sure that at the end of the day we manage to take a break from this stuff, to turn it off before we go to bed, so our mind has the time to unpack things that have been going through the day. That's what we do when we go to sleep. That's what we do right before we go to bed. But there's people that just can't seem to detach. And back in the day, I used to always love this information. I used to always love being connected to it. But these days, with the normies getting onto it, they just complain. They complain about this stuff, and they use it worse than people who originally were addicted to this information from the get-go, from the early 90s. It's really unfortunate. Now, we are in a society that has more information with more open minds, perhaps because we have this technology. I'll definitely tell you one thing. TikTok is a great way to start losing your attention span. And man, I have a lot of issues with TikTok. While it can be very entertaining, TikTok pings your emotion more than any other media I've found. Man, I used to watch TV so much I could predict what would happen. I remember one time the church group that I was going to had a movie on, and I could predict the ending in the first 10 minutes. They were just talking about how great his dad was. This guy's dad was so great, and we all needed him so much. And 3 minutes into it, I bet my buddy 10 cents he's going to die. I actually gambled in church. The dad dies, and the dad did die. It pings your emotion. I think that show pinged your emotions about 3 times in about an hour and a half. And TikTok, I swear to God, some of these things ping your emotion every 5 seconds. It can get so heavy, and there's nothing behind it. There's nothing like people will tell you information, you don't even have time to look it up to see if you can back it up with something. If it's dramatic, if it hits your emotions, it doesn't even matter. If it's true, people will just go for it. And in that way, it's kind of disappointing. Now, I really do kind of think that a lot of the unrest that we've had recently has been directly because of social media, for better or for worse. The George Floyd riots. If it wasn't for Twitter, that video would not have been circulated. So once again, I'll say it, for better or for worse. I mean, did the world need to see that? I am inclined to believe that yes, it did. But are we victimized by Twitter because we were shown this? So the article here really hits home, and I'm going to leave the link to the article in the description. I think you should check it out. It's a guy talking about his 9-year-old and how his kid was when he grew up. Now, if we go back to the Reddit, we'll definitely see situations where this individual is a teacher. The challenge to hold students' attention for more than 30 seconds is getting worse and worse. Technology opens up so many opportunities for learning, but it is also a barrier. Kids don't really talk on the playground anymore. They sit in groups, but they're all on their phones. No handball. No one wants to kick a footy. A footy? I've never heard it being called that. I wish we'd change something, but my phone says I have an average of 8 hours a day on it. Okay, coming from someone who is totally addicted to the internet and is totally addicted to the information within it, you gotta get off your phone. You can't be on that thing for 8 hours a day. Man, when we were all addicted to television and we were watching television for 5 hours a day, at least there was some kind of monotone to it. There was some kind of mindless, boring something to it. I remember back in the day before commercials were even funny. Do people even watch commercials anymore? There was a time when commercials weren't even funny, but they were all pretty boring too. And now everything's so exciting, explosions going off, gotta get your attention all the time, gotta have your attention, gotta hold it for only about 30 seconds. We are absolutely losing our attention span, 100%. But the thing that gets me is that these normies who are using the internet for technology, for information gathering, they blame the internet and they blame the apps. I suppose you could say I suppose it's a lot like blaming a gun for shooting somebody. But I think it's time that the normies take personal responsibility and realize it's time to put these phones away. It's not the fault of the apps, it's the fault of the individual. Now, that's not exactly correct in every case, but I do think the overwhelming majority of cases is, yeah, take responsibility. Put your damn phone down. Spend time with your kids. Read a book with your kids. Would that hurt you? Try it. Just try it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me, Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Have a good one, folks. Take care of each other, and get off your damn phones.